All emotional pain wants is to be seen, heard, and loved. Once it has those three things, it releases from the body. And the key to all of it is expressing the emotions that you're feeling. I feel like the universe is a very slow moving masterpiece, putting humanity through a divine cleansing right now. And I feel the karma of humanity is just to love the pain in the body, which ultimately clears and cleans our DNA so we could live in a more loving way.
You are now live from the source with Viki and Alexander. Live your life from the source. Play your cards right. What's your number? All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Live from the Source. I'm Alexander.
And I'm Viki.
We're here with our friend Brett Cotter. Welcome, Brett.
Thanks so much for having me on. I'm super excited about being here with you both.
Great to have you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on. So for our audience, we want to tell you a little bit about Brett. Brett is a 3-time award-winning author. He's the founder of Stress Is Gone Wellness platform. He has 25 years experience helping clients heal emotional pain with the power of unconditional self-love. He has taught in Fortune 500 companies, hospitals, schools, military bases, and world-renowned wellness centers. Brett is the trauma expert for Meditation University's teacher training program. He's a diplomat with the American Academy of Experts in Traumatic Stress. His breathwork is certified by the American Institute of Stress, and he coaches, trains, and certifies clients in his methods. Welcome, Brett.
Thanks again. So mystified by the source cards and what both of you do and what you're bringing forth into the world. And I'm just honored to be here with you and can't wait to, share some of my story and some of the techniques and hear how the cards view what I do.
For sure. We are excited as well. And, you are a friend of ours, so we know you. We want our audience to get to know you. So tell us, a little bit about who you are, how you got to be doing what you're doing, and what it is that you are doing.
Yeah. So a guy from Queens, New York, was raised by a hardworking single mom with my brother, John. If you're from Queens, I went to St. Francis Prep, then I went to SUNY Albany, and started working right away after college in sales. I came from like a lower middle income family, and I wanted to bring more financial abundance and security to my family. And after my year anniversary with that company, they transferred me out to California. And my whole world changed when I went out there, right? I was a typical guy from Queens. After about a year out there, I got into meditation. And quickly after starting to meditate, I started to realize that I had a really big pattern and problem with how I was relating to women, especially around jealousy. I realized around the 18-month mark, I started to get really jealous in my relationships. And the jealousy would ruin these relationships. So I wanted to fix it. And I got so lucky. I got referred to an amazing healer in Sedona, Arizona. So my girlfriend and I, at that time, we drove out that weekend to go see him. And what happened in that first session in 1999 changed my life forever. In a 90-minute session, the source memory, right, from when I was 5 years old of watching my parents argue was surfaced from my cellular memory, right? So that came up right in the beginning of the session from sitting down with this guy. And once that memory was on the surface, then the jealousy started to unlock from my body. When it released, then the anger and rage surfaced. When that released, the sadness that the anger was protecting surfaced. And when the sadness released, the fear of abandonment that I absorbed when my parents got divorced when I was 6, that released from my body. And jealousy never ruined another relationship in my life from that point on. I was 27 years old and I'm 52 now and happily married. So that's how I got into this work. It was my own healing journey, and it was my own stress and my own emotional issues, which kind of attracted me to the work.
Wow. I'm so moved by that. I mean, that is profound to have something like that happen for you and to be open to doing that and, kind of plunging in, like, you really wanted to heal that in yourself and then going for it. I mean, that is beautiful, Brett. I'm so moved by you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. And, my goal driving out to Sedona, Arizona, um, I wanted to work on my jealousy so that it didn't ruin relationships. What I found was that when I take one step towards God or towards source, it takes 100 steps towards me because I was blown away by what happened. And then I was just attracted like a moth to a flame to that work. So I did multiple sessions with that healer over the phone, in person, in that next year or so. And then I left my job 3 months later, and then I did a week-long retreat with him in the mountains of Washington. And that was like a whole nother level of being introduced to the work and experiencing it. And, you fast forward now 26, years later, and I'm leading retreats similar to what he was facilitating, but my own kind of like brand of it.
Mhm. And I've had a personal session with you, and I can attest to your ability to. My experience was that you were able to put words to something that was in the body, that was a sensation in the body, was a feeling, and you showed me it, that you could put words to that and help me speak it, and that by speaking it out, it releases.
Yeah, so you just hit the nail on the head. And I'm really glad that we got to this point so early in the interview because what I do is people come to me in emotional pain, right? And I tune into it, meaning I focus on it. I could actually see where it is in their body. Like I'll see an energy somewhere in the body. I'll feel it. I'll feel it within me. And then I will start to sense where it came from. So, did it come from their childhood? Was it a trauma in their teenage years or in their 20s? Or is this something further down the ancestry line? Is this some generational or ancestral trauma that has been handed down to them that's just coming up in their DNA and expressing itself? So, I tune into that consciousness and then I hear the words that the pain wants to say. So, I say it out loud, the individual will repeat it, and then you actually start to feel the tension unlock and release. And what I've learned from that is that all emotional pain wants is to be seen, heard, and loved. Once it has those three things, it releases from the body. And the key to all of it is expressing the emotions that you're feeling.
That's amazing. It's so amazing. So it's just amazing. It's all so true and so beautiful. And Brett, you're playing the 5 of diamonds in the source cards. And so am I. We both have the same cards. We have the same birthday, which this is so fun for me. And in the life path for the 5 of diamonds, some of the challenges are about expressing feelings.
Mm.
So I feel like, so you're sharing that personal experience from long ago about, sort of uncovering these things that were pushed down, which is a real pattern for the 5 of diamonds. The 5 of diamonds can completely push down their feelings and act as if everything is fine and, just shoving it all into, a box. And that's, part of the life path again of the 5 of diamonds. So it's like that experience for you unleashed that. And then it becomes a gift for you in that you're doing that for other people now. I mean, I
Yeah,
have the
so
chills right now.
so
That's
you just
amazing.
I usually get chills over here in my forearms and it just went down my legs. So I just want to just let you
Me
know,
too.
as you were saying that, something became clear to me because when I was a kid, when my parents split up, I was sitting on the front stoop waiting for my father to come for his weekend visitation. And at that point in his life, he wasn't able to show up. So I was actually waiting all weekend for him to show up and I would be crying on the front stoop. And when my mother would come out, I would quickly wipe my tears away so she wouldn't see that I was upset and I was crying and I was sad. Okay. So as a child, we're talking like 6, 7, 8 years old. It was innately in my blueprint, my archetype to hold in my emotions,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And then you fast forward when I went to my first retreat in the mountains of Washington. I was there for a 5 or 6 day retreat. And on the third day, and I was holding it in the first day, the second day, and it was like in the third afternoon, I just couldn't hold it in anymore. I laid in a circle in the middle of the circle laid down and just surrendered and put my arms out. And it felt like, you know, in the cartoons when you see like a grandfather clock open up and the springs come out and the gears pop out. That's
Yes.
what I felt like. I felt my organs and all my gearing, my emotional gearing just popped. And I just surrendered to the process and I started expressing my feelings. And he was guiding me in the same way that, you know, Alexander, you referred to that when we were putting words to the pain.
Yeah.
And he was guiding me in that. And everything was just unlocking and releasing layer by layer by layer.
That's really beautiful. And I feel for you as a kid. That's like out of a movie, the archetypal experience of the little
Mm.
boy waiting for the dad that doesn't show up, that can't show up. They
Yep.
physically can't show up, but also emotionally can't show up, was never taught that. And I feel like that's a deep wound in the male lineage for our society, that men don't know how to show up to their feelings. And then, as Vicky mentioned, you're born to play the five of diamonds. And in the life path of the five of diamonds, you have the four of hearts in Pluto. And that four of hearts is a box, and Pluto is the hidden shadow side. So there's this wonderful synchronicity of your journey as a man, no coincidences, no accidents, and your experiences as a child are all reflections of this template. And then, as Vicky mentioned, because you faced your own fear, which is your emotions, the hidden emotions that are so fearful, whatever is our Pluto card, it's so fearful to us that we don't even want to look at it. And we would deny that we're even afraid of it if anyone asked us. But then it becomes a gift. And there's so many men and women out there who don't know how to access their feelings. And it's in your template that you have a gift to help people do that.
So, and there were so many things that I would love to explore on what you just brought up. And the first part of it was lineage. And, you know, my story is part of my soul's journey, but it's also a reflection of my father's experience, right? And when he was young, his mother died by suicide in the house when he was around 5 or 6, right? So you can imagine where the fear of abandonment comes from and how deep it is in him,
Mhm.
right? And
Yes.
then he goes off to Vietnam when he's 18. And then his brother passes away in a tragic car accident while he's away in Vietnam, right? And then him and my mom get married. They lived around the block from each other in Flushing, Queens, New York. They get married, and then the marriage starts to fall apart when my father's demons started coming out and he started turning towards drug and alcohol and partying and stuff like that, right? And this stuff runs so deep that when I was an adult and I was a father and I, you know, questioned my dad, I was like, you know, why didn't you show up, you know, for the visitations? Like, why? He goes, Brett, I drove I drove by down the block thousands of times. I couldn't make the turn.
Mm. Wow.
So he couldn't face the mountains of layers of emotional pain of his failure in their relationship, that underneath that was the accumulation of all the losses in his life, you know, and there was no tools for him to that he could receive the time to process all that.
Yeah.
Right. So these, you know, things of, you know, generational trauma, ancestral trauma, these are so real, right? We are just a sliver. We're here for just a drop in the bucket and a sliver of time. And right now I'm just a living representation of the lineage. And then I'll be gone, and then our kids will be representing that lineage and that DNA. And then they'll, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like this wave of life. But right now we're in this one thing, but so much is a reflection of all the stuff that our parents went through, our ancestors went through epigenetic expressions of the unresolved traumas that they experienced, you know. So it just, you know, it goes so deep. And my only resolve is just to feel it, breathe into it, and express it. So if we try to push it down, which was my archetype to do that, It's caused so many problems in my life from age 15 to 27. Massive amounts of conflict in my life, massive amounts of, karma being stirred up. So just that's the outlet, like the vent, to vent out all the emotional pain. Just tell you that simple process: touch it, breathe into it, express it. And then the icing on the cake is really calling in your higher power to unconditionally love it. And that's where you really feel the healing happen.
I feel like you're giving such a, so five again is five of diamonds is like five is being out of the box. Diamonds are about what you value most. So it's, you're giving this out of the box, fresh, innovative perspective on life and on how, like, it's like a reframing, like, being vulnerable and all of these messy feelings, everybody, it's like being brought up in our generation. It's like, you don't do that. It's like taboo. It's not a good thing. You want to be positive or light or whatever. You don't embrace those things. And you're saying, no, you need to see it, acknowledge it, and love it as part of your human being. That's it. It's
You let the heart do the
That's
work.
huge.
So with my intuitive line of questioning when I'm listening, those are like psychic abilities, but just to surface the original traumatic memory. And then we let love do the work as we open our heart to the pain. There's really less doing and more being. And every cell on the planet is pre-programmed to get back to a state of homeostasis. Your body wants to let go of all this stuff. It's our mind that identifies with it over and over again when it's coming up to release. It's like the pain comes up, the mind's like, oh my God, I'm so upset. And the mind identifies with it and we hold on to it. So if we just, if you think of a duck or a dog shaking its fur to get the water off of it, that's what our body's doing. Our body's naturally trying to let it go. So our path is just one of letting it be when it wants to come up, being with it, opening our heart to it, and letting love do the rest.
Wow. I love how you say that the body is naturally letting it go. Like our bodies naturally, we want to heal. It's our innate state of being to be love.
And we can't help it because the universe is kind of putting humanity through a divine cleansing right now, right? And I feel the karma of humanity is just to love the pain in the body, which ultimately clears and cleans our DNA so we could live in a more loving way. And right now it's just messy, sloppy. And I feel like the universe is a very slow moving masterpiece. And right now it feels like we're stuck on a frame that's kind of glitchy, right? In the matrix, and it's messy. There's wars everywhere. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world. But again, the universe is a very slow moving masterpiece. So try not to get attached to anything. And the more we let things be in our own body and in our own reality, the more love will just start to naturally arise within us.
It's profound. You have a way to put it in words. And I want to highlight something that you mentioned, which is your psychic ability, and that is in your source cards. So you have the Five of Diamonds as your birth card, and then you have the Queen of Spades. That's your personality. It's determined by the planetary card in your life based on your sign. That's where we get that Queen of Spades from. And for a lot of people, it's their identity, and it can be what really defines them. And the Queen of Spades is the queen of consciousness, where the spade is a symbol of the pineal gland. So being the queen of someone who can see, that's another way of saying being psychic, that you do have that psychic ability. It's fascinating to me and truly amazing that as a regular Joe Bag of Donuts guy from Queens, that you've been willing to embrace your psychic gifts and use them for good to help people.
And, when I first got into this work, it was around letting go of jealousy. Then my goal was to heal my heart to the point where I returned it to the state it was in when I was first born as a child. And then I realized that wasn't really possible, but let me just stop and smell the roses along the way. Then my life became a lot easier. And now I'm really focused on my soul consciousness and spirit consciousness, right? And that's where the intuitiveness comes in. right? When you're thinking about your soul consciousness, spirit consciousness, that everything's always connected outside of time and space, even while we're in time and space. So that's where like the knowing comes in. And then, for years, I've been teaching this little exercise to open up your third eye, which is if you look at what's in front of you, like your computer screen, you close your eyes and you imagine seeing it, just the basic shape of it. And then you
Mm.
kind of open and close your eyes a little bit more, and then you really see it take form with your eyes closed. And then you start to realize what else is in the room, the next layer of things, to the point where I could see the whole room when my eyes are closed. And that is like a way of just kind of like awakening. And you might say that it's like an imagination thing.
Hmm.
The more you play with it, the more you kind of work out those muscles. And by play with it, I mean closing your eyes, getting up, walking through the wall, getting in the hallway, looking at the kitchen, looking out the windows, coming back, moving through the wall, feeling it. You actually feel the energy of moving through the sheetrock, the studs, and then you get back in the seat and you open up your eyes again. So it's like you could just play with it. It's just a fun little silly exercises that I love teaching people, and it just opens up different parts of your brain.
Yeah.
Wow, beautiful. It's so true that it really is a practice to develop these things,
Mm.
you know. So to be doing something like that on a regular basis, to really tap in and tune in to, consciousness, to psychic abilities, to being intuitive, to practice. Got to practice.
It's
Yeah, and
something
it's
that you've told me. Sorry, one second, Brett.
Mhm.
It's something, Vicky, you've told me that you do, because Vicky and Brett have the same cards to play for our audience listening. Vicky's also born to play the Five of Diamonds with a Queen of Spades personality. And something, Vicky, you've told me in the healing work you do is that you see it. You have an ability to see it on your mind screen. And that's a gift of the Queen of Spades, that ability to do that.
Well, it's interesting. I remember when I first learned my cards, I said to Alexander, I shared that and I was like, yeah, but everybody can do that. And he's like, well, it
Not
is in
quite.
your cards to
Yeah.
play, you know, so it's in your cards to play, Brett, too, like, and, can apps, I think we can teach people
Yeah.
to just really learn their own, ways of intuiting things, because we do have all different ways of doing that, sensing things. How does someone sense something, see something, feel something, you know?
Have you noticed, Brett, that different people are able to do that exercise better than others?
Yeah, and it's all time. It's like throwing a baseball or learning how to knit, right? It just some
Mhm.
people are more apt to do it, but anyone could figure out over time and effort how it's done, right? Because it's in there. And if you think of DNA, some things are more deeply packed away, just like luggage, right? Imagine like luggage. Some luggage is more packed away in the attic. Some of the luggage is stored right in the front, and you could pull it out, and it's easier to open up. Some you got to go through some pull stuff out from the back of the attic to get to it. But that's the way DNA is to me. Everything's packed in there. It's just spending the time to work it out,
Mm.
spending the time, and that's why I like to approach it as play. I was teaching a creativity and intuition class, an imagination class at a corporation. And one of the fun exercises where I would bring in an orange ping pong ball and put it in the middle of the room. And I'd say, okay, close your eyes and imagine that orange ping pong ball. Now open them and now close your eyes again. And when they could start to see it, I would say, okay, now imagine it growing with your eyes closed. And then I would swap it for an orange and I'd put an orange there. So it's bigger.
That's
So
great.
I'll say, now open up your eyes. So we would play with that. And they'll say, now let me know when you could see the orange fully with um, with your eyes closed. And then once we got there, I say, okay, now imagine breathing into it and getting it to be bigger, 5 times bigger. And then I would swap it out for a basketball. And, and it's just a funny way to play with our imagination, our intuition,
Mm.
and to see it. So my thing is like tying in my third eye with my two eyes.
Mhm.
Like it's a vision apparatus. One can see through the third dimension, one's focused on the third dimension.
Yeah.
But if you tie it together, I feel like things open up really wide.
Absolutely. And it's an interesting, we're getting into an interesting, for me, interesting discussion between what it is that every human being can do versus what some people are more gifted to do than others, depending on their cards to play. And I agree that everybody has the ability to see, to have that imagination open up. I believe it's dormant for everyone, and we can open it up more and more and more and awaken our third eye. And yet we each have different roles to play. Like you have your specific role to play as someone born to play the five of diamonds with a queen of spades persona. You have an ability to do things that other people wouldn't have the same ability to do. And the analogy that I often have thought of, and it's interesting you mentioned the basketball, like you could hand a basketball to everyone, and over time and with practice, everybody could dribble it and everybody could shoot it and go through the hoop. But not everybody's Michael Jordan or LeBron James. Some people have an innate ability to do it better, faster, higher, stronger than others do. And so that's kind of the play that I go into between everybody can do it. And yet some people have a specific talent for that activity that sets them apart from others. Not all salt is created equal. For over 40 years, Celtic sea salt has been hand harvested from pristine coastal waters, rich in minerals, unrefined, and naturally delicious. We can definitely vouch for that. Sprinkle it on your favorite dishes and taste the difference. Pure, authentic, full of life. Trusted by chefs, nutritionists, and families worldwide, because your body deserves more than just salt, it deserves Celtic sea salt. Celtic sea salt, nature's gift from the sea to your table.
We love Celtic sea salt. We use it on all our food, and sometimes for an energy boost, I just take a little bit on my tongue, just like that.
Right. No, I feel every soul that comes here has a special gift that's unique to their soul.
Mm.
Right. And then it's just finding your instrument, finding what it is. Like Mozart, right? If he just sat down as a young boy and just sat up next to a piano and all of a sudden was just playing that stuff, he was a player,
Yeah,
right? So it's finding your piano, finding your instrument. What is it?
Yes.
You know?
it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's where we feel like the source cards are, for us, in our experience, the easiest, best toolkit to find that, to know that. For example, if you had known perhaps that you were born to play the five of diamonds with a queen of spades personality when you were a boy, it might have reoriented your whole perception of yourself from a younger age. And that's what I hope. That's what we hope together, to teach the world their cards to play so that children grow up everywhere knowing what their piano is, knowing what their particular instrument is. And then it still does take practice. Absolutely. It takes the so called 10,000 hours to hone our instrument, but it starts us in the right place. Like, oh, you've got a saxophone, you're playing a basketball, you've got a piano, you're an artist, and then we can point ourselves in the right direction to then get to work and start building our talent.
Yeah. I feel like the cards are like a map
Yeah.
that kind of help us see where that gift may lie within us. And then also almost like a roadmap of like where the challenges are to overcome and what it looks like expressing that out in the world.
Yeah.
And ultimately deep inside of us, I feel like when we're born here, we're just programmed with so much stuff. um, you know the generational trauma, ancestral trauma, our own traumas, right? And when all that stuff gets triggered, it floods our mind with stressful thoughts. We get flooded with stressful emotions and we get off track. We get into fight or flight mode and we totally lose like our purpose for being here. And with everything happening right now in humanity around the world, in our country and society, in our own communities, in our own families, it feels like things are ratcheting down. The tensions are getting worse, which for our soul's purpose, it could be harder to grasp it. And I feel like the cards help us put it more clearly in front of us. So even if we're getting stressed, we come back like, oh yeah, I haven't, worked on that passion or tried that thing in a month. Oh, I got to get back to it. It's like if you have it in front of you. So it's kind of like a grounding cord, if you will,
Yeah.
I feel.
That sounds great. I mean, that's really beautifully said, because people can get so thrown off by their outer world, what's going on in the world, what's going on in their their world. And then how do you come back to presence? How do you come back to being grounded? How do you come back to your purpose, to your passion, to your own love, to yourself? It's can be challenging, so
I
And
feel the
I think
further the go ahead.
I was going to just add on and say, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it's a map. It is a
Mhm.
map, and then we still have to walk it. And that's where your work comes in, and other people doing a lot of other modalities as well to support people to play their cards right, to give people a way to unlock what needs to be unlocked so that they then can play their cards right. Sometimes I've found just hearing their cards to play is enough for people. It stirs something in them, it wakes something up. And then other times they'll find out their cards to play and then they'll still feel stuck. Like, I don't know how to do that.
Mm,
How do I do that?
mhm.
What do I do about that? And that's where I feel like other modalities can be very helpful to unlock what's blocking people from literally playing their cards right. But they may not even need to know these are my cards to play. Like, you found your way without knowing your source cards. You found it intuitively. You kind of slipped your way into it. And so that's still true. I've found that for people, they don't have to know their cards to play to find their map, to find their purpose. I've just noticed that it simplifies it. It makes it easier.
So the way I was able to do that is I reconnected with my source.
Mm.
That's the only way I was able to find my way here, to reawaken here, was getting back to my source, which is unconditional love and surrendering to it. So surrendering the best I can to allow my heart to do the work. And there's a saying, one that learns through the heart center needs no master. And I love that saying, and I come back to it. And,
Mm.
when we're talking about humanity and the path and the map, um, life is so crazy. I feel like it's not like from A to Z. It's like this. We're going back and forth, and we're like in left field, right field, and then we're coming back. And I was talking to a few family members recently about the story of the prodigal son, because it's all about the journey. And the further the journey, the more joyous the return home,
It's true.
right? And that's what I feel is really important to understand. So we've never gone too far from home, right? Coming here to this earth is probably a little bit on the fringe of being too far from home, because I feel like we're on like the outskirts of the universe. It's like sometimes I look up like, hello, is anyone watching us down here? Is anyone like, what's, and then when you look at like astrology or like the way scientists kind of say where we are in the universe, it does feel like we're on the fringe, like pretty far from the center of the universe. So this is, I feel like humanity is like not how far we went off the center path. The Buddha always talks about the center path. Um, it's not how far we went off into left field. It's really coming back home. And I feel that what guides us into the future when we're doing it right is our intuition and our inspiration. And if you have the map in front of you with the cars and you're becoming more aware of that, you could always just start to look at like different options of what you feel you would like to do with the rest of your life. And when you think of one and you feel like a ray of light, a ray of inspiration, that's a clue. And once you start listening to your intuition, the signs, and your joy and your excitement, the universe recognizes you as a player and it brings you more of it. And that's the main thing. You mentioned LeBron James, Michael Jordan. Yes, they were gifted as basketball players, but the two of them, they might have worked harder than anybody else. Right? So they've worked so hard. And all the people that we see on TV and the people that have mastered their craft, they've put in a ton of time. So that was their purpose. The real question is, what's your purpose? What's your purpose? Where's your inspiration? What's your intuition telling you? What do you want to do with the next phase of your life? Right?
That's a great question. What is next for you, Brett? Where you've got a lot of good things going on. We listed some out in your bio. Um, what's next for you?
So this year, I really wanted to focus on spending more time being a trainer and being a speaker.
Mm.
So we have more suicide prevention trainings where we're training peer specialists, mental health professionals, even parents in our suicide prevention protocol, which is a beautiful system about um, being able to listen and hear and open up your heart to love someone else's pain. And it's very difficult to do when someone that you love is going through it because our body goes into a massive reaction. So the first thing that I teach in these trainings is how to release your own stress real time so that you could be present and listen. Because remember, all emotional pain will heal when it's seen, heard, and loved. Right. So that's what I feel is has been my focus, for this year. And we started off really good. We've had a few really good speaking engagements, involved in a training with Mental Health America right now, training peer specialists, and yeah, we just every month I'm looking for more speaking engagements and more trainings to get the work out.
And you're working together with your wife now, is that right?
Yeah. So when we went to Shivananda on Paradise Island in the Bahamas, that was January 3rd through the 6th of this year. That was the first time that she was actually in the retreat. That was the first time anyone was in a room with me that wasn't there to receive the healing and to release their pain.
Hmm.
Right. And she had to be because we needed someone that could give the audience a mic. Right. And then it just felt right. It felt like complete having her in the room.
Oh, great.
And then she was in the room for our women's retreat. And it's been truly like a thing of completion for me, a person who's been doing this work, in groups probably since 2000, 2001. And it's only been me in the room with the group, you know, and now to have a partner in there, my wife, Stephanie, that when the group, it feels like they want to move, I could just kick it over to her and then she'll guide us through a quick movement sequence, whether that's Qigong or a sequence of journey dance, which she just got certified in, which is Tony Bergen's work, which is amazing work. And we've partnered with Tony in the past as well. It's just a really next level for our partnership. It's a beautiful experience for me as a facilitator.
Yeah, it sounds like a great balance and also a beautiful balance of masculine and feminine energy,
Yeah,
really bringing in that wholeness of both.
that's the
Yeah.
feedback that we get. It's a great balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. We like it. Works for us too,
Yeah.
it's lovely to have both the balance of energies.
Yeah. Yeah. It's beautiful. There was another card, Alexander, that you mentioned maybe 5 or 10 minutes in. Was it a Pluto thing?
Your Pluto card in your life path, the Four of Hearts, that's a key player, whatever the Pluto card is for all of us in our life path. I mean, all the 13 cards are, but the Pluto card is the shadow side. That's what we're afraid of. It's what we keep buried. In mythological terms, it's the dragon that guards the treasure. And so, what I've noticed over the years of doing this work is that whatever is the Pluto card, that's often our heroic journey, is to face that and then find the treasure that is hidden there, buried there. And so, in your case, it's symbolized by the Four of Hearts. And in the shadow, it would mean keeping you here. For our audience, it's a box of hearts, keeping your emotions in a box and then locking away that box and then being so afraid of facing those feelings that it seems so scary that then you don't even want to look at it and then you're in denial about it, which, as I mentioned. And what I've noticed is that life experiences are synchronized with that archetypal experience. And when I've worked with people or talked to people, often their languaging might be, well, this is true because of this happening in my childhood. I'm like, no, it's the other way around. That happened in your childhood as a reflection of the life script that as a soul you came to play out. And there's a way to play it right. You don't have to be stuck being afraid of whatever is your Pluto card. You can face it, but it takes often heroic courage to do so. And that's what you described for us. And you did it without knowing your cards to play. You intuitively were drawn to that. And as I mentioned, I've noticed that for people who are sensitive or are seeking or aware, we will find our way. It may be more trial and error. It may, we may go left when we could have gone right, but people will find their way to it anyway because it's ineluctable. It's like the universe is pushing us to that realization, and our soul wants that realization. So we're going to be drawn to that no matter what. But that's the example for you of facing the four hearts. And now you have the gift, the treasure of helping other people unlock their buried emotions as well.
So wow, there was so much in there. You're right. Where I love when you mentioned like we're all going to get there, right? We all get to go home. We're all going in this direction of evolution, even though sometimes it feels like we're going through a stage of de-evolution, right? But even in that, it's still going in the direction of evolution, right? We're all going in the direction of coming home. I feel like the issue is here that we live in the world of illusion, and we're using our senses to make certain decisions, to compute things where we should really be using our inspiration and our intuition to guide our path, right? To realize that your brain might be telling you it makes sense to go over here, but your whole body goes into a state of fear or anger when you go in there.
Yep.
So it's like, listen to your feelings. And then I was just having this image of that scene in Star Wars when Luke Skywalker was going down that kind of alleyway with this. He was in the starfighter, and his job was to let that missile go into the center of the Death Star, right? And he took off his goggles, right? And he just went with his intuition. He went with his feelings, right?
Trust your feelings, Luke.
Yes, search your feelings. Yes. So, and Star Wars has so much amazing stuff. If you just look up all of Yoda's quotes, it's just like mind blowing, and a lot of Obi-Wan's as well. But searching the feelings, getting underneath the feelings. And I feel when we express all our feelings, we get to a place of clarity, right? So like the world, our environment will trigger all the stuff in us if we just give our bodies some space to unlock and release the layers of emotions. We could see everything clearly with how we want to be, with what the world is presenting to us. So when we come back to that, when I refer to this work and that first session that introduced me to this work in 1999, I've been like a moth to a flame to this work ever since. And what I mean by that is I've been a moth to a flame to like a heat-seeking missile of love to the fear. So like for me, I bring up the core fear and I hold it in a chalice of unconditional love, right? So love is expansion, fear is tension. That's why fear hurts. It's in the opposite flow of the universe because the universe, most of it is expanding. So love feels good because love is in the flow of universe. It's expanding. Tension is fear and it doesn't feel good because it's opposite the flow of the universe. So what I do is I dive into the tension and open up expansion. And the cells have been waiting for that. Our bodies have been waiting for that. The key is trying to shelf the ego long enough for all the pain to go. And if we could do that and not identify with all the pain as it's coming up to release, that's how, we break free, in my opinion. There's over 8 billion paths to get back home. This is just the path that I chose because I know it worked for me. And I feel like if it worked for me, it could literally work for anybody. Yeah.
Yes, it's a treasure that you have, that you found, that now you can share this treasure with everyone. And I personally, that's why I asked you earlier if some people resonate more than others with what you're teaching. And you may know this, that as teachers and healers, we attract people to ourselves that mirror ourselves, that are a resonant frequency with ourselves, that different modalities may speak to different people. source cards, while we love them, may not be for everyone. Some people may prefer astrology, or they prefer their human design, or they prefer none of that, and they prefer just to meditate to find their way. So many different tools that we have to come home to ourselves. I like the way you put that. And it's about sharing our treasure and see who resonates with it, see how it vibes for people. And I love the fact that you've decided to share your treasure, to share what you've learned, to give your gift. It's really beautiful.
Thank you. And I feel the both of you are doing the same.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we are. That's what we want to do. We want to give what we found and say, here you go, everybody. Here's this amazing toolkit that was hidden in plain sight that provides a simple, clear roadmap for your life. There you go. Do with it
Amazing.
what you will.
It's amazing.
Well, I just like resonate with absolutely everything you're saying because I'm playing the same cards as you. It just so hits me here, and I feel like you have found this extraordinary treasure, and then you're sharing it with the world in a profound way. And people need it. People need it. People need what you are sharing, giving, your mission, your purpose is so beautiful, inspiring. And yeah, it's
I'm
really,
curious.
Thank you,
really
Viki.
wonderful work that you're doing. Just
Thank you.
profound.
I'm curious what you found. Has there been like your biggest challenge along the way, if you could say, in getting the word out, in living your mission, in giving your gift? What's been the biggest challenge that you faced in doing that?
A little thing called the state of humanity. No, sometimes I feel like I'm speaking a different language, right? So, and I'll find, and to really hone down the challenge is I am doing my best to help people that are super stressed. Okay. People that are super stressed don't believe they have the time, don't believe they have the money, right? And don't put themselves first. Okay. When I got into this work, I made it a priority. I put in the time, the money, and I put myself first. Those are the three keys for me to get my way out of all of the programming and the pain that was inside of my body. And there still is more. I feel like I'm at 1% of my potential, put it that way, because I get glimpses of my potential and I'm like, holy cow, that was amazing. Right. So I feel like I'm at 1%, but I'm okay with that. Right. Because if I get to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's a beautiful expression. And right now is a beautiful expression. It's all
Right.
just smelling the roses as I go along, and I feel like I want to keep the light and focus on my path. And that's what I'm going towards. And then sometimes it reflects out of me. It's a part of me. And then I realize I'm already there. And we're all in different stages in our relationship with our gift and expressing it. Some of us, it's still packed away, and that's okay. If there's a point in your life when you're like, you want to throw everything up into the wind and just focus on what you are meant to do here or what you want to leave behind here, right? Then people do that. It's like in the Bible. I don't bring up the Bible a lot, but I believe when Jesus was talking about the apostles, he said, you have to leave everything behind to come follow me. All that means is you have to drop all the freaking baggage. You can't carry anything to do this work. Right. So when I'm in a retreat, my personality is like 300 miles away and I'm just breathing and receiving, my own divine essence. And to me, that is the divine feminine. So I'm really open and receptive, like an open nerve ending, just receiving the information, feeling it. So I'm feeling what's out there and receiving it. So I'm feeling on both ends. And then I'm just softly expressing like a soft whisper of the universe. And then when the group repeats it, they're releasing their tension too. So it's really, everything comes down to, I feel, feeling our emotions, being sensitive to the energy around us, and letting our intuition and our inspiration be the guiding light as we take that right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot,
Yeah.
Wonderful. One person at a time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so true that it's just, first of all, thank you for your vulnerability and honesty and how you're sharing.
Mm.
And, it's just so true that people have to be ready, willing, open to be doing the work. It isn't a quick fix. It isn't a one-shot deal. It isn't like one healing. It's a lifestyle. It's a process
It
to
becomes a
step into these
lifestyle.
places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I'm curious. I imagine you've seen some really amazing, maybe even quote miraculous results in your work. What's one example that you've seen that was a really truly wonderful healing experience someone had?
there's like every coaching session, every retreat. I don't know if you saw what I posted this morning. It was like an image of a wave with sparkles coming through it. Um, it said, "As I let things be, love arises within me." Right. That was one of the mantras that came through at the end of one of the sessions this morning. And as the person was breathing it in, they were receiving it and it was anchoring into their body and it was releasing all tension, right? And healing emotional pain from childhood. That was um, reflecting and repeating in patterns. So, one that pops to mind, there was a guy that came to a retreat walking with a cane, huge limp, huge hip, knees, and ankle problems. And in our last dance, and this was just a weekend retreat, he was breakdancing.
What?
He was breakdancing. And I said, "Do you see what you're doing?" And he goes, "I might feel pain on Monday, but I'm feeling great right now." He wasn't breakdancing on the floor. He was doing footwork. It was called top rocking, right? It started in Brooklyn in the late 70s, and then it became a key component to breakdancing. And he used to do it when he was a teenager. And but there's so many. I mean, this one guy that's been to a bunch of retreats, we take like a group picture at lunch after the last session, and he always comments on how different people's faces look and how different the smiles are. It's like we look like kids because everyone's just really smiling. And you got to remember, people come to these retreats to let go of like overwhelming trauma, overwhelming anxiety, the deepest of depressions, right?
Yeah.
And when that starts to replace and we anchor in the happiness and the joy in your own divine essence. There was a moment in one of our women's retreats where this woman, we were in a inner child enlightenment visualization, and she was pushing her inner child on a swing, but her eyes were closed and she was there and she was crying tears of joy. And the woman next to her, when we did that, brought up a lot of stuff for her. When we did her inner child visualization, this was the first time this phrase came in: being bathed in golden glistening honey. And she literally felt her body saturated in golden glistening honey, which is our sweetness, which is the sweetness of our inner child. And she felt it all ooze through her entire body. I felt that in that first retreat I went to in 1999. In my session with my first teacher, it felt like the way I described it back in the day was, do you remember like that cheese whiz stuff? You would heat it up and then you would dip like a Triscuit in it. It's like you would put it in a microwave when you're like 12 years old. It came in a jar and it would come like liquid cheese. It was like warm. It was so good. It's probably terrible for us. But anyway, we would eat it, right? It felt like a warm jar of that just poured through the top of my head. And then what happened was, it was
I'm
like
not
if I
sure
was
if I
looking
like
at
that idea.
And then what happened was, if I was looking at a city skyline at night with all the different lights of all the different buildings, it was like this liquid warm stuff put out the lights like it was a blackout. And I was like, "What's happening?" Right? And he goes, "It's okay. You're just going, it's a meltdown of all the old programming." And going back to your question about the biggest problem or the biggest challenge I face is our old programming. What I'm bringing through is pure frequency of unconditional love that opens up through the heart. And the thing that's in the way is the generational program, the societal programming, the social media programming, or the programming in schools, businesses, everything that we've absorbed, right? We're all innocent sponges when we're born here, but the programming starts quick. And it's, we were never really taught how to love ourselves in school or in college or in our jobs, right? So it's like, this is kind of opposite of our programming, because all that programming is usually coming from fear. So it's the brave souls that are meant to break through that programming. Not everybody is meant to do it, right? Not everybody's meant to do it this lifetime, right? Everyone has their own purpose. Some people are meant to wake up this lifetime, some people aren't. And I don't judge either way, but part of the challenge is for me to vibrate and to attract those that are meant to. So some people that come to our workshops, they said, the second I saw your picture, I knew I was meant to work with you. There's some people say the second I heard your voice on a video or on some kind of replay that I was on, they knew I was meant to work with you. So yeah, the people that are meant to work with me, they know it.
Yeah, beautiful.
Beautiful. I have one question that I love to ask, and that is, if you could have your own billboard that millions or even billions of people could see, what message would you put on it for people?
Probably just love yourself.
Mhm.
And then, just like the source cards are a map, stress is gone as a map that helps us open our heart to all the old pain in the body. So there would be a stressisgone.com on the bottom of that billboard.
Yes.
There would be,
Yes.
love yourself, or how to love yourself at Stress Is Gone. Yeah.
So simple and profound. It's so easy for people to miss the meaning of that in the course of their programming, and just looking for it to be more difficult with the assumption that it is more difficult. The true, I would say, path, the true meanings are simple. Like, genius is simple.
Mhm.
It's really that simple, is to love ourselves. But there's so much in that, because who are we? What is ourself that we are loving? And it introduces a multidimensional concept immediately of, like, who's the one who's loving yourself, right? There's a lot packed into that 2-word statement of love yourself. And yeah, there's a lot to explore there. And I know that that's something that you do with people. So where can people find you? And, what can people sign up for? What can people do when they work with you?
Yeah, great question. So stressisgone.com is the best place for, a person or a company to go if they're looking to bring this into their lives. So if you're going through a lot of emotional pain, high stress, or high anxiety, our coaching programs are awesome. That's where you're working one-on-one with me over the phone. Um, when I help people over the phone, we put earbuds in, you lay down in bed, really comfortable on your back, and then you're tracing the tension out of your body as it comes up from old memories. So we're actually opening up your heart to the tension in your body and in the old memories. And when someone has fully resolved a memory, they could reflect on it without any stress or tension or emotional pain coming up. And that's when I refer to that memory as resolved, when you could look at your past and still have peace in your heart. So the coaching is really big. Then we have retreats, and then I train mental health professionals, coaches, certified coaches, I certify meditation teachers. Meditation is a really big part of all this work because, as Viki said, it's a lifestyle change. And when you start to integrate even 5 minutes of meditation into your life a day, you start to put pavement on the path in front of you, and it becomes less bumpy. So we have a membership. My wife and I, we teach 5 days a week at 9 a.m. Relaxation class for 25 minutes, Monday through Friday, on Zoom.
Oh, that's
So
great.
that's $15 a month. You get 260 live sessions a year, with us. So that's a really amazing membership.
That's
That
fantastic.
sounds
I
like it.
love that. How can people find you on social media to follow you?
Stress Is Gone on Instagram. That's like our main platform.
Okay.
Mhm.
Brett Cotter on LinkedIn. We also have a private Facebook group. helping people heal trauma and emotional pain with Brett Cotter. That's the private Facebook group. I think we have about 3,000 people in there. But the main thing is our membership, our email list. If you go to stressisgone.com and you click on free gift, you'll get a video, you'll get a download and a mobile app from us. And that'll put you on our email list. So you'll know when our upcoming retreats are happening, coaching specials. We have coaching specials over the holidays for folks. So yeah, we have a lot, going on.
You have a lot
regarding
that
that.
you're giving. You've got a lot that you're doing. You've got a lot that you're giving. We appreciate you so much. Brett, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for giving your gift in the world. Thank you for shining your light. Thank you for having the courage to do the work.
Mm-hmm. It's been truly a pleasure, an honor. I feel blessed. I will forever have the memory of golden honey in my body now. Yeah,
amazing.
really.
Better than golden cheese whiz.
Really.
Like you said, I was Joey Bag of Donuts, right? So I was relating to it on Cheese Whiz, but now
Sure.
25 years
Yeah.
later.
Cheese whiz pouring through my body. I was like, no, thank you.
Awesome.
I'll go with the honey. I like the golden honey.
The golden glistening honey. And when you work with it in meditation, you breathe it and you could actually feel it. It's amazing. And then if we could just end up with one super quick breath work exercise, it's stress stopper breath work. Was certified by the American Institute of Stress about 12, 13 years ago. And I just wanted to share this as we were talking about sharing our gifts for anyone that sees this. Anytime you're stressed out, just touch the tension in your body. For me, that's usually my chest. Start breathing deeply and slowly. And once per breath, silently say, I'm okay. I'll say it out loud and we'll just do 3 breaths together. I'm okay. I'm okay. I am okay. And that's what I would love for you to do anytime you're feeling upset, anxious. Embrace the emotions inside your body with your touch and your breath.
It's really beautiful. Thank you, Brett.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me. It was amazing.